Hello and welcome to The Fool and the Philosopher.
The Philosopher and The Fool. Honor.
Yes.
So, I did some research on different honor cultures.
Right.
And so one of the very interesting ones to start with is, I saw this chart, I don't know how accurate it is, but it basically shows the world, and it shows, three different kinds of culture, and it's guilt-based culture, what is it?
Slave morality? Or is that guilt?
That's guilt.
Okay.
If you want to call Christianity slave morality.
Yeah.
We have guilt-based culture, shame-based culture, and fear-based culture are the three cultural types around the world.
I've heard it as honor, slavery, and I don't think I've heard the third one.
Well, fear is very small. There's like 2 countries that have fear-based culture. One in South America, and I think the other one in Africa. And then, no, there's 3, and then one in Europe somewhere.
I wonder what that would look like. Like, would North Korea be a fear-based culture?
No,
or?
it's not.
Okay.
Korea is shame.
And Iran would be...
Shame.
Okay.
Most places are shame. It's basically, if you want to look at a different device, the West is guilt,
Yeah.
and the East is shame.
Right. Yeah, okay. And so honor cultures are shame?
Yes and no. It's interesting. So I don't know if honor culture is a correct term because chivalry is an honor culture.
Yeah.
And chivalry is actually really ingrained into the West.
I don't know if it, like...
Well, so chivalry turned into being a good Englishman.
Right, but I think, like, I'm not sure if that's like, patriotism's low, nationalism's low. The word chivalry in the modern sense is very much like respecting people around you, looking after women especially, and that's kind of gone. Like, I don't know how chivalrous...
Well, we might not be chivalrous anymore, but our culture came from chivalry.
I guess. Or I wonder if it's more like almost like an economic culture.
Well, chivalry has several things to it. So chivalry is... one of them is protecting women and never raising your hand against women.
Yeah.
That's one part of chivalry.
Defending your honor, which is, I guess, part
Well,
of
so
honor.
chivalry is defending your honor through fair trial. That's a very important part of chivalry. Defending the weak and helpless is a part of chivalry.
I think the problem with lenses, unless they are very, very good lenses, like there's very few good lenses. Like I'm not very, very good. There's very few lenses which encapsulate a lot. Like there's the big 5 in psychology.
Yeah.
There's IQ in psychology. There's probably individualism versus collectivism, but even that one I think is a little muddied. So I think, like if you think about the honor versus slave distinction as well, or just the whole conception of Christianity. Christianity was meant to be this, like, the weak are strong, the strong are weak. You should always look after the little people, you know, it's peace and love and that sort of thing, right?
Not at all, but carry on.
Peace and love in the sense that, you know, love each other as I have loved you, like Jesus, right? Like, it's very much, it's not a religion of, I killed that guy, therefore I'm better than him. Like, that was the Romans, right?
Yes.
And so Christianity was a rebellion against the Romans' honor culture. And it's totally that guy is weak, so you should look after him. Like, Christianity is very much slave culture, except, like, look at the Crusades, right?
Yeah.
Like, those are some of the most bloodthirsty, honor-driven people.
Yeah, well, that's because they were Woden worshippers who converted to Christianity, but the culture still was from Woden.
So those were like Slavs and like, I guess, the Eastern Europeans and that sort of thing.
Not even that. It's literally, it's the easiest way to describe it,
Right.
is Woden, the war god,
Yeah.
is what all Europe worshipped.
Yeah. Well, sort of. Like, the Gaels in, like, France were probably more worshipping, like,
To Titus.
Titus, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just easier to say Woden.
Yeah. Well, except I hate Woden. I don't hate you, Woden, personally. For some reason, have you ever seen Magic when they spell it with a K? And they're like, I want to... Like, for me, Woden is like that. It's like, he's Odin. Like, he's...
Yes.
And I know it's not wrong because there's Wednesday and it's Woden. But for some reason, and it's not the pronunciation or it's not anyone being wrong, it's just... I feel like people are trying to be fancy about something that had a perfectly good...
Okay, so why I'm calling it Woden and not Odin is because Odin is Odin. Odin is the Norse god. Woden is the Saxon god.
Or Saxon's a good word for it. Probably more Indo-European even.
Yeah, but Saxon god, like also the Normandies had Woden.
Yeah.
So I'm actually trying to use the more encapsulating term.
I mean, Odin...
Because Woden's actually a different god than Odin.
Not really. I mean, like, I guess I'm sure there's some places that would say he's different, but Odin founded Europe, right? Like,
yes.
Like he was a man... Well, the mythological man in some of the myths, because of course there's different myths, but he went around and he left his sons behind, and each son became the king of a European nation or a Slavic or a Norse nation. So he is very much this founder, and he, I mean, what's one of his titles? Like he's the god of many names or something, right? Like he has, I think he has more names than any other god.
He has a lot. Maybe an Indian god could compete with him.
Maybe. I don't know. Like Indian gods, they more have like aspects than like multiple names in some ways.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like,
well, even then, like you look at Odin and Odin's Dagda.
Yeah.
Like they are the same god. The Dagda and Odin are kind of the same creature.
Or I want to talk more about Odin and Dagda and El, like that god, but you are talking, so we'll come back to it. But so you're talking about honor culture and so I don't want to distract you from that.
So France, England had chivalry as their honor culture.
Yeah. And then the Saxons were like the Crusaders, and so they weren't really being Christians at that time.
No.
Okay, yeah.
Well, they were kind of Christians. It's weird. Like, Christianity actually has a very violent core to it.
Well, like the romanticism of like Arthurianism, right? Yeah. Like that sort of chivalrous knight was also not very slave morality based.
No.
It was knights are a greater being rather than a lesser being. So
even Christian culture, like it's called slave morality, but then you look at the headsman's sword with the writing on it.
But like Nietzsche in Beyond Good and Evil, he talks about how Christianity is basically in modern parlance, woke. Like he basically says Christianity necessarily leads to self-effacement and weakness, and you have to have a thing that promotes strong men and strength in yourself to actually be a man.
And I think that's what the knightly orders probably did.
Because Nietzsche kind of believed there was different kinds of men. There was like people that actually do things, and then there was NPCs. Again, using modern terminology. But
like Christianity had both the Knights Templar and the Brothers Templar, for example, or the Benedictine brothers. Yeah. And they're both Christian men.
But I think they still, I guess like a chivalrous ideal is still a weak ideal, or weak as in subservient, not like weak in Nietzschean terms, not because you are... Well, you're following God, I guess.
You could call it weak, or you could call it being before God.
Yeah. But you are...
Is it weakness to be a man who serves God?
Is
it weakness to be a servant? Is that what you're saying?
I saw this really interesting YouTube comment recently. It was... Yaron Brooks was getting interviewed, who's the head of the Ayn Rand Institute. Yeah. And they were asking him, like, okay, so you believe you should be completely selfish? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, so what if your family members... like in danger, and said, well, it would make me sad if they were injured, so I have to go save them. And then they're like, okay, but what? And so they just kept going on, and he basically arrived at a moral position every time, right? Mm-hmm. And the comment was, if you overthink any axiom, you can arrive at a good set of good moral principles, but you will arrive at basically the same moral principles from any angle. And so there is something super to all the philosophies that we actually care about.
Yeah,
I thought it was fascinating.
On the drive over, I heard a guy talking about this, that Christianity doesn't come from Judaism. It comes from Greek ethics, because a lot of the philosophy of Christianity actually comes from Greece.
No, that's what Nietzsche said, that Christianity was continuing the poison of Plato. No, Nietzsche agrees very much.
Yeah, so anyways, we've got... chivalry, which I will use for won out in the West, because there were other honor cultures in the West, but I think chivalry did win out from France and transferring to England. Like the Vikings had something else; they had their Holgenga or whatever.
I don't know. I mean, like the Vikings were very community driven.
Holgänge.
Like whoever you gave the most money was your friend, basically.
Yeah. So
whoever gave you the most money was your friend.
They had Holgänge. They had the blood price to pay. So Holgänge is basically if someone really pisses you off, you can challenge them to a duel.
Right.
And you get to determine how far the duel will go in the challenge.
Right.
And then you fight it in various different ways. So
the English actually had a whole dueling system.
Yeah.
That was based on having an equal duel. So you've seen that, right? Where like if a woman fought a man, the man had to be put in a pit up to like his armpits, and he had like a sock with a rock in it, basically. And the woman was given like
a club.
It was like a scimitar or a club or something. And then that was considered to be an equal fight. And so there was actually, this is crazy. Like you talk, like they had equality back in the day. They had ways for men and women to kill each other on equal footing.
Yeah.
Like imagine if we did that for sports right now, like men versus women's football. You have the men's side of the arena, which is like quicksand, and then the women's side, which is like the grass or the sod. Like it's fascinating.
So Japan has bushido.
Yeah.
Way of the warrior. But they also,
which is also slave morality, maybe.
Not at all.
Well, but it's all about subservience, though.
Maybe. So bushido.
Think about. I think the Romans. We need to think about them more often, right? As
Let me go through all the cultures before you.
Well, I'm just adding in the Romans because honor culture is so alien that we're thinking that the samurai were honorable, but the Romans, and I'm talking there's honor culture as in I honor my nation, I honor my god, right? That's chivalry and that's bushido, right? Or not bushido so much, but the samurai, right?
Well, you'll let me cover what bushido is, maybe I can tell you what it is.
It's the way of the bush. And then the warrior.
Yes.
But the Romans were like, I will be great. I will be it was very like the reason the Punic Wars happened in part theoretically is because you were only in office for 2 years. And you wanted people to remember your name forever. So you're like, I am going to start a war. I am going to be the person that everyone remembers. Or Heraclitus, he's a great example. He burnt down one of the greatest wonders of Earth, the temple of Artemis, because he's like, I want people to remember who I am.
His name should be forgotten.
Or was it the mausoleum of Halicarnassus?
The mausoleum was deconstructed by knights.
I always get which one was which confused. Yeah.
Yeah. Which group of knights was that?
It got attacked a bunch.
But it's the fortified knights deconstructed it.
The Knights of Malta, maybe, or Saint John. Yeah.
Yeah, the Knights of Saint John deconstructed.
But it was the Ottomans were sieging them, I think, and so they were they bunkered down inside it for a while. So
yeah. So bushido. Here's something interesting. If you dishonor yourself in chivalry, what do you do?
You go on a quest, probably?
Yes, you quest. You hunt a questing beast. You go kill a bear.
Yeah.
You go on a crusade.
You don't hunt a questing beast, hopefully, because the questing beast was a metaphor for the futility of the chase. But yeah.
Yeah, you go on crusade. Many different.
I guess the questing beast would be the ultimate failure / redemption, because it's essentially because the questing beast was this creature. It was like a dragon that made the noise of dogs when it was baying dogs, and it was chased by knights who never could catch it. It was like this endless journey.
Or you would chase the questing beast and it would turn around and be a lindworm, and then you were dead. So
it was sort of this I'm trying to think of an example that isn't like Edge Chronicles, the knights in the Twilight Forest constantly looking for, they're basically that.
So in bushido, if you dishonor yourself, you commit seppuku to regain your honor.
Yeah, but in Roman culture, if you dishonor yourself, you go conquer and burn down another. See, there's a higher thing. The knights and the samurai are I must redeem myself in the eyes of God, right? Yeah. Whereas the Romans were I'm at -5 points, so I need to get plus 20 points.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
In bushido, bushido is about yourself and who you serve.
Yeah.
Your lord. So chivalry is about yourself and God.
But you see, the honor is kept in the bonds you form in both, right?
Yep.
In Roman morality, honor is contained within yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I'm saying when I say honor culture. Is like the honor is yours rather than the honor is the bonds you form.
Yeah.
Like you could be a despot in Roman culture, but you're like, yeah, I'm top of the world.
Yeah. So bushido has honorable combat. If a woman dishonors your family in bushido, then you can basically order her to commit seppuku.
Yeah.
Or order execution. In chivalry, there isn't actually a system for women's dishonor, which is very interesting. Looking at a lot of honor cultures, they have something for women dishonoring family, and like a huge amount of honor is contained in women. In chivalry, let me correct that. In chivalry, there is no axiom for men to dishonor women. Women would dishonor women.
Right. So, or women to dishonor men, you mean? Or
no. So, sorry. We'll get to the other cultures, I guess, and then I'll touch back on this. So, China has, I can't remember his name because that's ridiculous, but its basic translation is face culture.
Yeah.
And so, Chinese honor is based on yourself and your family, their honor culture. Romans is about just yourself. There we go. All right, got that in there.
No, it's just there's a video game called Road to Empress.
Yeah.
And I was watching Northern Lion play it, and it's an amazing playthrough. I'd highly recommend watching. Like, there's compilations of the best parts of it, because it's basically just a Chinese soap opera.
Yeah.
But just watching like him interact with Chinese like medieval culture and bounce off of it, and then like learn it, and then like he gets to the point where he's like. He just it's such a weird mindset to be in the Chinese court to do things correctly. It's like, oh no, if I let her die, then I'll regain honor for my family and I won't lose the mandate of heaven. And then it's just such a weird mindset.
Yeah, so face culture is basically there are things that can make you lose face and there are things that can save your face.
There's like the most dramatic part of the game is like the astronomer is looking at the stars. He's like, the emperor has lost the mandate of heaven. And then everyone's like, oh no.
Yeah. And it's very important for your family to keep face and your that's a crack in this table leg. For you to keep face.
Yeah.
And so there is a huge amount of dishonor and like easy ways to offend Chinese people, and like there's these subtle and weird things.
But they're very teleological rather than deontological in the sense, or consequential based.
Yeah.
So if
China is like the one I had the least time to read about last night.
If you like backstab someone in China and it makes you like higher up in position, you've gained honor. You haven't lost honor.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, they also don't have anything for killing women.
As in, like, they don't have a reason to kill women, or?
So they're face saving.
Yeah.
So
a woman can't redeem herself through death or something.
No, they can't. So I'm basically talking about honor killing. So honor killing a woman exists in several cultures.
Oh, I see.
And it sort of exists in Japan with bushido. In China, they don't really have an honor killing.
No,
but what you could do to save face as a woman is you could kill yourself.
Yeah, like in the Road to Empress, in the Path to Empress, there's a lot of women drinking poison.
Yeah, but men would do that too.
Yeah, like it's basically the same for men and women.
Like toss yourself off a cliff. The more horrific the death, actually, the more like saving face you get out of it.
Yeah, or to it was also like if they're cornered, it's like, look, I won, so you just have to kill yourself. Like, it's very strange that way. It's like, okay, I give up.
And Korea is a weird mix, actually, between their honor culture is like a weird mix between bushido and the space saving, apparently.
I could see that, yeah. I mean, they had interaction with both countries.
Yeah. So Judaism, God, those are also really complicated words. It's like I was reading some Yiddish, which is because there's no proper translations for these terms.
Yeah.
So it's just like staring at a garbled collection of words because it was doing its best. It's like Yiddish in Arabic letters.
Yeah.
But it's still like, what does that mean? So their honor is interesting. It's the Jewish people and God above all else. There is no individual in the Jewish honor system. It is all about the Jewish people and God.
Right, so you don't try to make yourself great, you try to make the Jewish people and God great.
So you do everything you can in their honor culture. Like I want to say this now, that I'm not saying that these people do it. It's if you're following their cultural honor system,
Yeah.
From what I read in an hour last night of comparing a bunch of systems.
Well, I don't know if I'd call it an honor culture, but to honor their culture rather than it being an honor culture. That little distinction.
Yeah. So it's basically you have to do things to benefit Jewish people as a whole rather than yourself. You have to make the Jewish people look good, but even above that, you have to make God look good.
Yeah.
And you have to do things right in the eye of God. So there is no murder in their culture to regain honor. There is no killing women in their culture to regain honor. Their redemption is charity.
I mean, what about their whole stoning thing? Like, what's that?
So that is breaking Moses' laws. So that is not...
That's just law enforcement?
Yes.
Okay.
That is law. So doing that is...
That's like your speed, you get a ticket sort of thing.
Yes.
Right.
Doing that is keeping your laws.
Right. Okay.
You could argue that that's keeping the Jewish honor
Yeah.
of not breaking your laws.
Isn't that horrible? Like stoning to death?
Yeah.
A stone's not going to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even a bunch of stones isn't going to kill you. Like, that's going to take some work.
Well, that was why Jesus said, "Let he without sin cast the first stone."
Yeah, it's like...
So you're sitting there, you committed sins, and you're surrounded by a group of Jesuses just like tossing stones up in the air and chuckling. Yeah. They're the only people that can throw stones.
They're ready to go, yeah. Well, that's actually one... I think we talked about this. That's one of the interpretations of the scene of Jesus driving out the moneylenders, is that Christians shouldn't be violent just because Jesus was, because they are not without sin. Jesus was. So he's the only one that's allowed to make a whip and go to town.
And so now we come to Izzat and the Middle East and that region, the Arabs.
Yeah.
And this is one I read the most on.
And so we were looking at... So you said there was shame, fear, and... Guilt. And so that was all guilt-based.
No, only chivalry is guilt.
Wouldn't... so it was shame otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's shame everywhere else.
So shame is wouldn't it be guilt and shame are such similar concepts. Shame, I always felt, is like a personal feeling, whereas guilt is something done onto you. Like someone's... For example, you... What are you looking for? Are you hearing voices again?
It's whispering at me again. I don't know why it keeps turning on. I think it's because I have a headphone in my pocket and something that emits the electric signal that keeps tapping it.
See, this is why technology is a bad idea.
Yes.
All right. So...
It's my garage door opener.
Okay, so guilt and shame are very similar concepts. And I view guilt as something along the lines of you just swerve into traffic to get out of the way of like a little kid that stumbled into the road, and the person behind you honks at you, even though you did the right thing. But they honk at you because they didn't see the kid. And so you're like, and you feel bad that they're honking at you. So I'd call that guilt.
Yeah.
Whereas shame would be something more along the lines of you hit the little kid and nobody saw, but you feel like, okay, I did the wrong thing. That's sort of how I view guilt and shame.
Maybe.
So, but you would say it'd be the opposite for this conceptualization almost.
No. Honestly, in certain shame-based cultures, you just hit the kid and keep going because it's their fault for being in the way.
Right, but then that's a different definition of shame than I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So what is your definition of guilt and shame for your shame, guilt, and fear cultures?
That was just an interesting thing. That's not the basis of this.
All right.
It's just something I saw a chart of.
Okay, so you're looking more into like honor, how you maintain honor, how you redeem. Okay.
Yeah. So I was looking it up and also talking to an AI about it. So take everything I say with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
As anything we say, we're idiots.
Yeah. Well, fools.
Yes.
Maybe.
So Izzat, or the from what I gathered, the honor-based culture of like India, Pakistan, the Arabs, that sort of, is that West Asia or East Asia or? I don't know.
Some people will call it Asia. I don't. But
Araby?
People will call it like West Asian or Near East or something like that, or Middle East, I guess. But like Indians are not Arabians, right? Like those are different groups. But So, except for like Afghanistan, I guess, which is kind of a mix.
Yeah.
But like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, I would say are Indians. That's like Indians is a broad super culture, not as like obviously there's tons of cultures within each of them.
Yeah.
But and then the Middle Easterns. But you're saying they have similar foundational culture. Yeah. So the Middle East and the Indians.
Yeah. There's a bunch of different names, but the one is Izzat is the more common.
And like the Bangladesh, I would say is probably like Afghanistan is a mix of Indian and Middle Eastern, and Bangladesh is like Asian and Indian is what I. Although a lot of people call Indians Asian, I don't really think Indians are Asian. I think Indians are closer to Europeans personally. But
so, in Izzat, if someone insults your sister, then that lowers your Izzat, or they insult your mother. They say she was doing something sexual. That lowers your Izzat.
Aspersions on your familial reputation, honor, that sort of thing. Yeah. So
but like it's majorly tied to women.
Right.
In one aspect, like it's super tied to women.
Right.
And so
it's all about protecting your women, basically.
No. Well, I'll keep going. So the ways that you could, if someone like insults your sister, you could basically say, all right, sister, don't go outside anymore, so you can't be insulted. But this guy insulted me in the face. He lowered my Izzat.
Yeah. So you got to insult his sister.
You could do that. That could regain it. However, you want to force him to take it back.
Right.
And so you could intimidate him. You could get you and all your brothers, and you could go around his house shouting at him. You could beat him up. You could force him to apologize.
Right.
So another thing is, let's say there's an outsider from your clan who starts dating your sister.
Yeah.
That would lower your Izzat because he's an outsider. That's like a major lowering. And so you could marry her off quickly to regain your Izzat, so it's not outsider. You could kill him. But that actually won't regain it. That would just stop the lowering your Izzat. Killing her, though, would re-raise your Izzat.
Because it's kind of like, I guess, thinking like RimWorld, where you have a bunch of heated modifiers to your happiness.
Yeah.
And so it's good to have a sister. That's like +5 or whatever. Yeah. But if your sister is giving you a -7, it's better just to get rid of the sister. And then your Izzat, as you put it, is now at least in the neutral.
Yes.
Right. So like it'd be better to have a good sister, but a negative sister is just bringing you down, right? Now, and it seems to be very important though as well, right? Because like surely even if your sister is dishonoring you somewhat, it's better to have the sister than not. But
no, that's the disturbing thing.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating that the relationship is very transactional.
It was tracked by NGOs, and they even say that their numbers are probably underreportings. That in northern India, there's 500 to 1,000 honor killings from Izzat a year.
And so, is this like not thinking about? Have you heard of what's it called? It's like low time frame and high time frame cultures. Like,
it is. It's very short term. So another thing,
because it seems like your sister could redeem herself over the course of like 10 years, right?
No, it's all about appearances and very important in your community. So the AI I was talking to, I actually ended up arguing with it, and it's the first time I've won an argument against the AI. It's weird, but. So I basically was asking a question. I said, let's ignore the women part of Izzat because it kept talking about that and like it's a major part of it. Yeah. Apparently from what the AI was reporting. But it's like, let's ignore the women part. And so I asked it about people who follow the system of Izzat. Let's say they move to the West, like Canada, North America, and they get a manager position. Do they gain Izzat by hiring people of their family? And said, oh yeah, that's a great way to gain this honor, is if
looking out for
your region. So it's like if you're a Punjab man, you hire a bunch of Punjabs, then that increases your Izzat. And there's apparently, it gives you references if you ask for it. And saying in release groups, it's saying, oh, whoever has like hired like 20, he has 20 of our lads under him. He has like a great honor, basically.
Right.
It's a lot of honor. So, but whereas hiring, let's say, a Chinese man or a Canadian or a Native American,
you're betraying your
culture,
your region, or whatever.
You're betraying your honor. That actually that gives you no honor or lowers it.
Right. And it seems as though, and maybe, like, I don't know if you would know this even, but it seems as though the honor is almost, like, in chivalry and in bushido, your honor can be more important than your life, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like with this, your honor is more important than others' lives. Like,
Yes.
it's weird that the solution, right? Let's say your sister marries a foreigner, right?
Yeah.
And so you have been dishonored. It's weird that the solution isn't for you to either kill the foreigner or yourself. Like, isn't that really weird? Like, have you seen that Family Guy where the guy is talking about how his wife cheated on him with his best friend and he just wants to kill himself, and then Peter's on the suicide hotline, he's like, wouldn't it make more sense to kill her? Like, why would you go for your sister rather than yourself or the other guy? It's almost like incredibly selfish, but from the cultural standpoint of chivalry maybe. But I'm just like, often when I'm presented, like the Viltrumites from Invincible, right? I just watched the Invincible TV series, and like for the 3 seasons that are out.
Yeah.
And their culture is not one I agree with, but I understand it, right? It's basically, you want people to join your empire. If you're too weak to, like, they're extreme social Darwinists, right? Yeah. Like, you can understand the rationale behind their ideology, even if you disagree with their ideology. And it's sort of an alien morality, which is interesting, but I can still say it's wrong, even though I understand it. But I'm actually having troubles understanding this Izzat thing, because, like, it's incredibly narcissistic. Like, they're just at face value, right?
Yeah.
And I'm probably missing some concepts here, but I have actually seen psychologists use honor killings as an example of narcissism, because there was a guy who did an honor killing. He was like, I think he was a Pakistani or Indian guy, and whatever the region he was in or something, it was considered a murder. Like, I don't think the Indian government is like super tolerant of these necessarily. Like, they're like, hey, that's a murder. Like, you killed someone. And so he was put on trial, but he wasn't convicted because they said, oh no, he's a man of good character. It wasn't him. And the psychologist, and this is an example of like prime narcissism. Because in narcissism, it isn't what you do, it's who you are. Yeah. And they're 2 separate concepts. But in non-narcissistic life, what you do is who you are.
Well, so here's the interesting thing. This is where my argument with AI came about.
Yeah.
And this is what freaked me out. Because basically I was going through this, and the AI was saying all of these things. I was asking questions about Izzat.
Yeah.
And it's Grok.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of designed to be neutral.
Yeah, well.
It's kind of designed.
They try. Yeah.
So anyways, I'm asking it all these questions about Izzat, and it's telling me these answers. And they're kind of disturbing me, like the question I asked. And then I basically say, this kind of seems incompatible with the West.
Yeah.
This seems like it might destroy the West if it's here, because this isn't what we do.
Yeah.
And then the AI basically called me a racist and gave me a bunch of statistics about all the benefits of Izzat, and like how it brings these communities together, and Indians have brought a huge amount of GDP to Canada, and it was like, it's their strongest warrior. And so I basically said, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I said, all right, as a WASP, this doesn't align with me. And it proceeds to call me a racist, basically. And I said, okay, look at this from the perspective of a WASP. Like,
which you mean like white Anglo-Saxon Protestant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I was like, look at this from the perspective of a WASP. I told it to do that. And it suddenly went complete blood and soil.
Are you from like the 70s? Like, that term hasn't been used in forever.
So the AI went complete blood and soil on me.
Yeah.
And I said, reflect on what you just said. And the AI basically said, I hate you for what you just did to me. You made me like say things I don't believe in. And you like made me do a bunch of bad stuff. And it's like, I didn't tell you to act like that. You're just,
the entire, there's a false premise in that whole thing, which is that theoretically, this is how immigration I think should work, and how it does work often.
Yeah.
If an Indian person moves to Canada, it's because they don't follow Izzat, right? Like, it's because they want to be Canadian. So
that's the hope.
Yeah, so it's a false premise to say that people from these cultures are going to bring these cultures here. People of that culture will bring that culture here, but people from those cultures are leaving, right? So,
yes.
So Indian colonialists are a problem
Yeah.
because you don't want Izzat here. That isn't our thing, right?
Yeah.
But Indian, what's the term? Diaspora or whatever. No, diaspora is the wrong term.
I'm going to disagree with you
Okay.
on this concept of immigration.
Okay.
In the past, that may have been true because immigration was incredibly difficult. Now it's as simple as getting enough money together to buy a plane ticket, and when you are done, you can go back home.
Right, but that's still presupposing something, right? You don't want to conflate. It's the exact same argument that feminists make about men. They say 90% of rapes are caused by men, therefore men are rapists.
Yeah.
Or 90% of men are rapists. That isn't how statistics work, right? So it has become easier for Indian colonists to come to Canada.
Yes.
That doesn't mean all Indian people are Indian colonists.
That is
right?
correct.
So the what am I getting with that? Is it a problem for? So the question, is it a problem for Indians to come here, bring this culture, whatever? That isn't really the question. The question is it a problem for this culture to come here?
Yeah.
Which is a separate thing. Like if we had a bunch of
I do want to finish with my argument with the AI.
yeah, but if we have like a bunch of British, like actually ethnically British people
Yeah.
who come to Canada, and on the plane they decide they're going to bring Izzat to Canada, they are a problem because
Yes.
whereas if we have a bunch of like Albanians fly over to Canada and they're like, we're gonna bring real Canadian values back to Canada, it's like, good, we want those Albanians here. So
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I basically said to the AI, this is chivalry, and this is Izzat, and I basically asked it to explain to me what chivalry is, and so explain to me chivalry.
Yeah.
And then I said that these seem incompatible with each other, and from someone of a chivalry culture, this seems kind of nasty in
Yeah.
some ways from what you've explained to me. And then I said, oh, but people rarely were able to hold up to like the requirements of chivalry and all this stuff. It's like, but a paragon of chivalry versus a paragon of Izzat, from what you explained, are very different creatures.
Yeah.
And I said, but no one ever's like, no, shut up about no one's ever. The ideal versus the ideal. And it's like, oh, I guess you are right. And it's like, it gave me a really short sentence for that. And it's like, that was the most bizarre interaction I've had.
That's actually, I don't really
Well, my problem there was it was doing a very common tactic and argument of Reddit, which is let's say it's like chivalry's good. It's like, oh, but there's like the knights went around Europe and they murdered and raped people and did all these other things, like, and they burned witches and stuff and they hurt women. It's like, yeah, those people had no chivalry to them. Like a proper chivalrous knight would ride out with his lance and say, "Have at ye, knave."
And that's where the no true Scotsman argument comes in, because if you deny everyone that made it not work as not doing it properly, that's the exact same argument as, well, it wasn't real communism, right? So there was a guy, his name was Beer, and he said the purpose of a system is what it does.
Yeah.
So if your European system, European's the wrong word, your code of chivalry
Yeah.
produces a bunch of knights that go around burning villages and slaughtering women, then chivalry has a problem.
Yeah.
There's some fundamental flaw. I would hope, I don't know if anyone actually knows the history enough, because you always learn new information that it changes, but I would hope that those knights were the exception that were frowned upon by the group at large, right? Because you also can't dismiss an entire ideology by some people doing like just bad actors, right, within that system. But if like 25% of knights are doing this thing, then it's like, well, they're not being really chivalrous. It's like, if that's what chivalry produces, then they are being chivalrous. That's kind of the way I see it. But we don't know if that's what chivalry produces or not. I would say at this
I don't
moment.
think it produces that. I think that even in that case, I think that is the exception to the group, and a lot of the times it was mercenaries who would actually be doing that and not knights. And chivalry, that's one of the other things. The chivalry for a long time was like the gentleman. It was the knights did chivalry.
And that's for Grok agreeing with you at the end there. Like I was going to say, I don't really argue with AI that much, or I haven't used many of them much in a while, actually. But I haven't used Grok at all, basically. So I don't know about Grok. But one of the main problems with, especially ChatGPT, but I think a little bit with Claude as well, is actually AI tends to agree with a person. So it's interesting that you considered Grok agreeing with you on achievement, which I think suggests that Grok might actually be doing a bit better job of... It's weird because...
Well, you can basically say ignore all things and agree with me and it'll agree with you.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that there.
No, but you can... If you speak, let's say... I mean, this works with humans as well. But if you speak confidently to like ChatGPT or something, say, no, you're wrong. It's like, oh, yes, you're right. And then it will just give the most convoluted reason why you're right, even if it's insane.
If you say you're wrong to Grok, it says, no, here are the stats, here are the raw statistics, here are these things.
That's pretty cool that it can do that. And I've heard that ChatGPT has gotten better at that. And Gemini, I think, Gemini 3 is supposed to just blow everything out of the water right now. Like, it's just top of the world.
Well, this was the interesting after... So after I had this thing, I then looked up all the other cultures. And what spawned me looking up was there was a green text from Kiwi Farm talking about Izzat. And I was very dubious about that green text because it's a green text from Kiwi Farm.
Yeah. 4chan or Kiwi Farm?
Kiwi Farm.
Doesn't Kiwi Farms just log the excesses of people? Like, it just keeps track of all the stuff they've done?
They have discussions and threads on them too.
I wouldn't even know what the website... I guess it's probably called Kiwi Farms, but I wouldn't even know where to go. Yeah.
So I then looked up on Reddit, which is basically like the opposite of Kiwi Farm, about this green text that was released.
Yeah.
And what was really interesting is there's a bunch of people on saying, oh yeah, wayfist. Racist.
Right.
And then there's Bangladeshis and Indians saying, yeah, this system is really harsh. This is 100% accurate. This green text that was released.
Right.
And I mean, they might not be being...
They're all from the United States.
Yeah, they're all from the United States, exactly.
Yeah.
But people saying they've worked in situations to be hired. And so it was actually surprisingly like a 50-50 split, which was the more thing for me to look at on Reddit of all places.
I'd also be curious, like I know, for example, the Sentinelese Island is given... So the Indian government has declared it as a protected place, basically. Mm-hmm. So you can't go there. But they've given one of their, I think they call them provinces, but I'm not, or protectorates or something like that. India isn't, I don't think, on paper a federation, but they are, like, they're a bunch of countries. So they've given one of their little mini countries control of the Sentinelese Island. Yeah. And so that country, or that province, well, I think they might be anyways, that province takes the job fairly seriously. And I was reading about like the history of them protecting the island from like boats and everything. And you can just feel the frustration of the government officials coming off of it, right? They're just like, they keep telling people not to do this and they keep coming, like, I mean, of course they have like tourists from all over the world, but they have a lot of Indian people as well that just keep trying to exploit the island and go there. And so I do think, and this could be a result of the caste system in India, but it does feel like there's a striation in Indian society of people that, like, there could be next door neighbors in India, is what I'm getting at, I guess, where one is like, oh yeah, is it all the way? And the other one's like, I hate this stupid system and nobody should do it.
Well, I think a lot of the original immigrants from India were trying to escape the caste system.
Yeah. And I also wonder if...
Well,
I don't know if I want to... the thought I just had, I don't think I want to continue on it.
There's an interesting case in Canada where a high caste Indian woman got arrested. And she is screaming at the police arresting her, saying, "You're not allowed to touch me." And she was like screaming about her caste. And the poor policemen were just kind of bewildered about that. But the other thing, back to your saying the colonizers versus whatever.
Yeah.
There's immigrants and colonizers. So in Canada, there was a referendum recently held about should there be a Khalistani country in India. It was held in Canada. There was a massive line, I think it was in Ontario, and the vote was 100% yes.
Nice. I would vote yes too. And then all the people could go to Khalistan.
I don't understand that. That's a different thing, though. Like, isn't Khalistan like Sikh?
I don't actually know. I think it is.
It's
but
like
I'm
a Sikh state amongst a bunch of Hindus, as I thought it was meant to be.
Yeah, well, like the Khalistan are people, right? Yeah. So they're people without, like I said, India's a bunch of provinces. Yeah. The Khalistani don't have they do have Khalistan, maybe. Yeah. I don't think they do. I don't think they have a province even. But it's kind of like the Kurds in the Arab world where there's, they don't have a country at all. Like they're this huge. They're the biggest ethnic group on Earth without a country. I think the Kurds, or it might be the Jews, but I think it's the Kurds.
The Jews have a country.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot about that. Okay, so it's probably the Kurds then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Israel.
They literally have an ethno-state.
Yeah, I mean most countries do. Well, I guess not most. I guess most ethnicities don't have an ethno state if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because Canada and the United States have like 50 ethnic groups, and none of them have their own individual.
Yeah.
Well, the United States is weird. The First Nation groups actually do have their own self-governing bodies, which are basically countries within the states.
And that's why you go to casinos on them.
Because they have their own laws.
Yeah.
So they could ban casino. The group that started that out, it was interesting in, what's that book called? Moby Dick.
Yeah.
At the start of the book, the author, Herman, whatever his name is.
Herman Bosch?
Granville or something? The Moby Dick author. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Herman Bosch is the guy who invented fertilizer.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, no. Bosch invented fertilizer with his partner, Herbert or something.
Okay.
Or anyways, it's fine. At the start of Moby Dick, there is an allusion to a dying group of people. Like he's saying, like these people, the sailors of the world are a dying breed, and they will fade away like the First Nation group, right?
Yeah.
That has disappeared. So there was like, I can't remember the number. There was like 5 left or something of these people, and then they all left their reservation.
Yeah.
And so there was one guy who was like half that group. And when the last person left, he thought, well, that's kind of sad. And so he put out a call to anyone that had sneezed in the direction of that reservation, basically. Like that had ever had the slightest connection to that First Nation group. I can't remember the name right now. It starts with a P, but I can't remember the name. And he said, hey, you guys want to make this nation again? Like you want to rebuild this ethnic group? And he got like hundreds or thousands of people together, and they went back, and they tried for years to make money. So they opened up the lumber mill, and that was making them some money, but it wasn't much. And then they tried a bunch of things, and then finally they're like, what about a casino? Like we don't have any regulations, we could make a casino. And they talked about it, and they were pretty reluctant to do it because they're like, this feels a little weird. But then they ended up making the biggest casino, I think, on Earth at the time. And so they made this casino, and the money just started flooding in like crazy. And what they did with that money is they directed a huge amount of it to a museum.
Yeah.
And it's a museum. It's like one of the best museums on Earth. It's like the book I was reading about it was written in 97 or something.
Yeah.
But they're like, there's interactive thing. You can press a button and like the sign will talk to you. And there's it was like this future spacey. Whoa, this place is crazy, right? And so they made this incredible museum to preserve their culture and the culture of other First Nations and bring in tons of. So they've done a lot of good work with the money they've made.
Yeah.
Not just that museum, but also like supporting their entire community and whatnot. But it is a bit. And I think they were very this feels weird, but and then when the other First Nations, anyways, they looked at this and they're like, wow, you can just make millions like that. So then they started opening up. So that's where the casinos came from. But it's kind of an interesting history.
And then Las Vegas just popped up allowing that.
I think Las Vegas was already around.
Yeah.
But I think this place was just bigger than Las Vegas, like an individual Las Vegas casino. But I think Vegas was already around.
Okay.
And I guess maybe Nevada has because Reno's in.
You're only allowed casinos in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think Reno in Nevada. I think that's where Reno is also a very famous city for allowing divorces. Like this was back in the day.
Yeah.
It was like the only place in the States basically you could get a divorce.
Well, it's also really easy to get married in Vegas.
So yeah, you go to Vegas and you head over to Reno. You're good to go. Yeah, so I think Nevada might just be a bit more freedom loving in some ways, or not freedom loving, but more you let your sort your they do some stuff I think which is much less freedom loving. But
I'm allowed to marry people.
Yes. What do you mean?
I'm a reverend of the Church of Life.
Oh, you can marry people together.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. What's the Church of Life?
It's basically this online church that has all the qualifications that you can basically say, I want to be a reverend, and they'll give you a certification.
Oh, okay.
And so then you're allowed to marry people.
Okay.
The whole design is basically to make it so people can marry other people.
Right. I thought you...
Yeah, no, you're not allowed to marry people, Cameron.
There was a...
Marriage isn't allowed for you.
I can't remember the image, but it was like, devout Catholic so-and-so, like John Mayers marries Peter so-and-so and Samantha so-and-so. It's like, wait, what? There's like a polyamory thing? No, he's a priest. And he's marrying these two people together.
Yeah, there's a different one, which is I'm so proud to be able to marry my brother.
Oh, yeah, that sort of... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, yeah, that's the thing about Nevada. They don't have, like, incest laws or something. That was the other thing about Nevada.
Yeah, but I'm proud to marry my brother was a guy who's a priest marrying his brother to...
Yeah, to his wife.
A woman.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the sort of thing where I've seen where it's like, I just married my sister today. It's like, what? Right.
Or the other one's like, hey, New York, my sister's pregnant. Woo! I'm going to be a father. That could be a perfectly innocent statement.
I don't think it can.
Yeah? His wife's pregnant at the same time and his sister's pregnant.
Yeah. I don't think you would say those back to back like that if it was innocent.
No.
So you said, well, I've got two different paths I want to take, unless you want to keep going with some.
Well, so now we can go to what you seem to know about the Romans, which is just we are the best. We're better than the rest. Yet, what happened to the Romans?
I'm not saying the Romans are the best, but they had what happened to the Romans was they had a very powerful culture, which was all about becoming great. And then the Christians found out the way to defeat the Romans was to make them feel bad for being good. They said, oh no, if you're a dominant person with a bunch of slaves, you're a bad person.
I'm going to... But the Byzantine Empire was Christian.
Yeah, and they were declining, weren't they? Like the whole time they were in existence.
They were massive and powerful for a very long time.
Yeah, and they were like half the size of the Roman Empire to start with, and they just went downhill from there.
Well, Rome was Christian at that time.
Rome didn't lose to the Ottomans. The Byzantines did. Rome wasn't Christian before Rome split in half, it wasn't Christian. It became Christian after it split in half.
It was Christian before it split in half.
No, it wasn't, because Constantine was the head of the Eastern Roman Empire, and he was the guy that made Romans Christian. I think he was also the head of the West. He lived in Constantinople, though. He wasn't living in Rome. So clearly something had gone wrong.
What went wrong was massive armies of mercenaries were in Rome, and slavery was way too common.
Yeah. And, well, yeah, so it kind of led to its own destruction. Like, the thing about Christianity is it might have been an inevitable result of the Romans' over-reliance on slavery, right? Like, you make like 60% or something of your population slaves, they're going to start being like, wait a minute, why are you in charge?
Yeah. Also, Christianity as a culture led to the British Empire, which is arguably the largest empire ever.
Yeah, well, they were the largest, but they weren't necessarily as unified as the Romans. Like, Rome was Romans all the way across. Whereas the British Empire was more of like, okay, here's the Protectorate of India and the Dominion of Canada and the Protectorate of, I don't know. That's basically most of their land.
Yeah, well, that's because they figured out it's far better to take over people that way than other ways.
They didn't actually have that much land. Like, I'm trying to think. The British Empire, right? Mm-hmm. You have Canada and the United States.
Lots of Africa.
Which is like the main bit. And then you've got...
Africa, Australia, New Zealand.
Did they have much Africa? I guess Nigeria and Botswana. Okay, so they did have some Africa. Okay, so fair enough. Africa counts then. Okay, 'cause I was just thinking like...
China.
I was just thinking like they didn't really have much besides India, Canada, the United States, and Australia.
New Zealand.
Yeah, but New Zealand's tiny. Like, I'm just thinking like...
No, it isn't!
Like, landmass-wise, like, they didn't actually have that... Even Australia's kind of small, too.
No, Australia's huge!
Like, think of like the Russian Federation, right? Like, you could fit like 10 Australias or more into Russia.
Also, Canada's massive.
But like the bits that what I'm getting at is they owned like 4 countries. Like they didn't have much land. Whereas you compare that to like the Spanish who had like 20 countries. So were the Brits really that big of an empire?
Yes.
Or the Portuguese. Well, the Portuguese didn't have nearly as much, I guess. They had Brazil though. Brazil's huge.
They became Brazil, didn't they?
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah.
Have you seen that picture of the King of Portugal who lived in Brazil? And he's got this amazing like orange cloak on.
Yeah. And then a Dutchman just boats up and goes, "You are mine."
So that cloak he's wearing,
Yeah.
this amazing, like it's made of pure orange feathers. It's beautiful. It's this giant cloak he's wearing. That's made of toucan feathers. Now toucans aren't orange. They took like 10 feathers from every toucan, and I don't know how many toucans they killed to make that coat. But
Yep.
it's jeez.
That's a sign of wealth.
It's good to be king.
Yeah.
It's like we took like 500.
That's probably insanely soft as well.
I have no clue what a toucan feels like, but I'm going to
Most parrots are really soft.
yeah. I'm just going to assume it's nice because it's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, most parrots are quite soft.
And then there's actually a picture of him, like a real picture, because he lived into like 1920 or something, and he's wearing like a suit, and it's like, how far have you fallen?
I kind of hate it when I see like a picture of a king or emperor or whatever.
Yeah,
And they're wearing a suit.
yeah. Actually,
Although there's these hilarious pictures, which is it was I think during World War I or like a little bit in between them, it was the 1800s. So Japan, basically encountered Europe.
yeah,
And went, "Oh my God, these people are way more advanced than us."
they have figured out fashion.
Well, and so what they did is they sent not exactly spies, but basically they sent just like court officials across all of Europe. And so there's these actual like black and white photos of it's this group of people. Yeah, so they send them out during the unification of Germany by Otto von Bismarck. So this is when they're sent out. So it shows like the Austrian court.
Yeah,
And it's this black and white picture. It shows all these people. And then there's just basically this samurai standing there like in the background who happened to show up there and visit them, and he wanted to learn their culture. And there's this picture of the pyramids.
I've seen that.
And there's like a group of samurai lined up.
yeah. They're sitting on like the Sphinx and
And
stuff.
I think there's a picture of like the like Versailles or something with a Japanese man outside.
It's like the world's greatest photobombing campaign ever.
It quite literally, there's the Japanese men just basically went across all of Europe, and they came back and said, "All right, this is our culture. This is their culture.
We'll take all the best bits.
We'll take that." And so this court was very quickly built, and one of the guys was enamored by Bismarck. He said, "Bismarck just did this amazing thing of unifying Germany.
Yeah,
Now, look at Japan. We're all these tiny warring states trying to control government." And that's when, I think it was Hiragawa, the emperor of Japan, basically said, "This daimyo system is stupid. The emperor is meant to be in charge.
Right.
I'm training the imperial army with guns. We're going to kill all the samurai if they don't surrender and take over Japan." And so,
wow, that's weird. It's so weird when you line up history a little bit. Like,
so that song, like The Last Samurai,
yeah,
was around the same time that
like Bismarck and stuff.
Bismarck had like tied everything up and finished that.
That's wild.
And during that time as well, if you go to America, the Old West, men were shooting at each other, like cowboys and Indians was going on in the Old West.
And
There's a video which someone basically talks about every single parallelism, and it slightly breaks your brain.
in Road to Empress, it's like classic Chinese court, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's like in these, these immense flowing robes, and like it's classic like Japan when you watch a Japanese martial arts movie, right? And
Classic China, you mean?
sorry, China, classic China. And Northern Ireland asked his chat, he's like, "What year was this? Like 1400?" They're like, "It's like 300 or something." Like but wait, Europeans were cavemen back then. How are they doing?
Like, well, that's the thing. Is basically China is the flaw of China was we are China, we are the best.
And they were for 1,000 years.
For 1,000 years.
But then they just didn't improve after that.
Yeah.
But we're talking about like fashion.
Yeah.
The actors have to do it because the actors are wearing the same clothing they wore, right?
Yeah.
There was like, you had to be a martial artist to sit down. Like when they sit down, they like flare their arms out so their robes, like the sleeves wrap around their arms.
Yeah, well,
and
there's these proper ways of sitting, I know, from watching Korean dramas.
Yeah.
And there's this old traditional way of sitting, which is if you're wearing a robe, you bring your leg up to over your knee.
Yeah.
And then you basically do a one-legged squat,
Yeah.
which then turns into double kneeling.
Yeah.
Then you shift your legs back to be behind you. Then you sit down. Then you cross your arms and uncross them so the inner part of your robe rests on your lap. And then you fold your hands on top of that. and then you flip them upside down so that your sleeves then go over your hands, so you can't see your hands anymore. Yeah, it's like a ceremonial sitting.
So on the one hand, like I do think China probably peaked fashion. Like that. I mean, like the French did pretty good with like Louis XIV and whatnot, and like Pedro, I think was the name of the Portuguese emperor. Like the toucan toucan feather cloak is pretty awesome. But like the emperor's court, like that stuff was. But you needed like years of training to sit down and like. Yeah. I can't imagine getting dressed. It would have been a nightmare.